rehearsal and all kinds of things, but one something, two something, and three something, I think. Maybe there are two in the 1 o'clocks and one at 2 something. 1:40, 2:10, and 3:15.
Oh.
It's not as bad. The break between the 2:10 and the 3:15 is a little. And I'm also curious because the 3:15 is with Miss Hill, and as far as I know, she's still out. Maybe I'll have opportunity to find out.
Okay, so on with our lesson then.
On with our lesson.
Lesson number 6, adjectives for the first and second declension. And so we're going to start, we're going to walk through our vocabulary. And I made on the notes that I provided online, I just made some, I think, additions and clarifications on a couple of them. So you can write these in your, your textbook or pencil them in or something if you need to. So anyway, so I'm going to have you pronounce the words. So
Okay.
Peggy, if you get down there and
To be like US.
Have you downloaded the new notes that he just?
well, I actually put them up over a week ago,
Oh,
but we weren't using them yet, so
Oops.
well,
that's all right
Lord.
because they're for this
he
lesson.
says
So.
that's all right. But
I don't even know what this is.
6. Well, so that was the one that I sent you would have ended in lesson 5. Okay. Sorry, Tim.
No, I don't have
That's all
it.
right.
I'll
That's all right.
approve them. Okay, so there's
Okay, so our first word is,
Agathos.
Say it again. Say it again. I just
Oh,
couldn't-
sorry. Agathos.
Okay,
Agathe, agathon.
okay.
Um,
And it means good. And I put not moral because that's the number one thing I find that people do with agathos is that they read good in the Bible with the word bad or evil, and they think it refers to morality. But that in Scripture is covered by the word righteous. So this is talking about good in the sense that it is beneficial, something beneficial for a person.
Or maybe like yummy. It's good lasagna.
Yeah, good fruit.
So these are the last notes that you have up.
Seriously.
Mhm.
Huh. I thought I loaded these.
what was?
Okay, I'm gonna have to load these. I was
okay,
sure
yay.
I was sure I had loaded these up to the website. So okay, I will get on that then afterwards. Okay, so the next word.
Agapetos. Agapetos.
No,
How do you say it?
try saying the second one is a short A, second alpha.
So you want me to say agapetos?
Oh, I'm not hearing. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I've always pronounced it, listen to other people say it, agapetos, agapetos, but that kind of puts the emphasis.
See where the accent is.
I get that. Agapetos, yes, there we go. Means, there we go. Peggy,
Hagios. Hagion. Holy.
holy one or a holy thing, okay, because
So
these are,
one. That's what it is. Not
well, it's holy, but these are adjectives.
Oh, right.
So it's describing a person that's holy or a thing that's holy. Okay.
Hagios, okay. Alas. Allah?
Right. Which is an other or another, and
Of a
the
similar
and the book actually says another of the same kind. And
Yes.
so he does maintain that.
Yeah.
Not all modern lexicographers recognize that. Some of them, there's passages in which they think, oh, it looks like these words aren't distinguished. But I think if they just continue to pay attention, I would say most of the time, let's say 90% of the time, there is a difference between this and the word heteros down below.
But like we talked about last night, it's not of exactly the same kind. It's another of a
Similar
kind.
Similar kinds. It's similar. So it's not the same person. It's just something. So like the Spirit and the Son are both the same kind. They're both God. So there's something similar, something they share in common. Okay, I think we're back to you, Peggy.
Dikaios, dikaia, dikaion. Righteous one, righteous.
Right,
Just.
yeah, righteous or just. Yeah, describe.
Acostas, Hecaste, Hecastan. Each or every. I'm just not even trying.
Yeah, each or every. And the each or every has to do with whether you're dealing, usually how you translate it based on whether you're using a singular or plural, because it's appropriate. And that makes more sense. Once you put it in a context with the singular plural, you know how you use the word each or every. We're accustomed to that in English.
And this is up there because of its how many times it's used, right? This is
Because
these are
the
vocabulary words that are used a lot.
yes, yeah, more commonly, yeah.
Okay. So eschatos, eschatea, eschaton. Don't remember. Last. How can you remember that's last?
Well, the way I remember it is eschatology is the
the
study of last
days.
things.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Heteros, heteron, and also another of a different
Okay.
Kainos, kaine, kainon, kaion. Wait, kainon. Dang, new. Oh, this is new, like fresh, like
New in kind.
new in kind.
New in
yeah.
kind, a new type.
New
Yeah.
in type, yeah.
Compared to neos, which is simply the latest crop of the same apple, not a new variety of apple, but this would be a new variety of apple. Neos would just be this year's crop.
Kakos,
Kakos.
kake, kakon, bad. Oh yeah, kaka.
Yeah. And I've added the clarification on there because it's translated bad or evil, and evil brings with it a moral sense, but it actually is the idea that the thing is not what it should be. You expect it to be one thing and it's something not right, not the way it should be in that sense.
Lacks in character.
Lacks in characters. Yeah, it's the way I
That's a good way to
was trained with it. So if you show up at a tree and it's supposed to have fruit and it doesn't, then it's an evil tree. And Jesus uses it that way, turning to a tree that doesn't produce fruit. That's supposed to, and he calls it kakos because it's not producing what it should.
Kalos, kale, kalon. Obviously beautiful.
Okay.
Just wait.
So
It's the outer.
yeah. So it's good. And the difference between agathos and kalos normally is that kalos is something that another person could observe. As you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. Something that's.
Whereas agathos is describing benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. Moral contentment or a moral sense of a contentment or a sense of well-being, something like that. Whereas kalos is, oh, I saw him raking that person's leaves for them. That was a good thing that they did. So it's
Observable good. And the other is maybe an experiential good.
yes, would be a good way. And obviously these two they obviously have overlap. Okay. Is this you, Peg?
Yes, I did
I
kalos.
do, you
Yes,
did.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Mikros. Small. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, you talk about micrometer, you're talking about small measurements.
Manas, mane, manan. Oh, I don't remember. Only. Mono, there you go. Only alone. Okay. Oh, good.
Necros, ooh, dead.
Okay. And it refers to a dead person. Thanatos is the state of death, so dead always describes a person.
Which Thanatos is a noun and
Mhm.
Necros is an adjective.
Alas, ale, alan.
Okay.
Oh, did I skip one?
No, just
No,
look at the breathing mark.
I
on it.
can't see it.
Okay.
Is it going?
It's a rough breathing.
Okay, halas, sorry, halas, hale, halan. I don't know. Whole, all. Remember that one?
This
And I
kind of
think-
sounds like that.
And I think we had this, just to give you a point of reference on some of these. I think we had this one back a few weeks ago when we were in 1 Thessalonians on Wednesday nights. I think this is in 1 Thessalonians 5. I'm just going to look at this real quick. In verse
You're gonna look at it
25.
first. That's something.
Oh, and it's not that word specifically. It's two forms of that word. It's holatile.
Wait, where are we?
Verse 23. 1 Thessalonians 5:23. But the same or the very God of peace, sanctify or set you apart entirely. Holatelis. Telis meaning end, which we don't have in here. So hala, holy, complete, and then it goes on, and then it says holokleron, and holokleron would be the whole of the parts. Kleros, the parts or the pieces.
So right before it says halatelis, that hagiosai,
Hagiosai, yeah.
is that a form of?
That's the verb form of hagiadzo, yes, and it's an infinitive.
It's a verb form, okay.
Yeah.
Infinitive, which means it's acting like an adjective. sort of.
Actually, it's an optative. It's an optative verb, so it's an optative mood
We're
there,
not paying
I believe. So,
attention. Okay. Off, okay. Pistos. Faithful. Stay pistos.
and it's important because there's a lot of translations that apply that definition, faithful, to the word pistis. And pistis is the noun faith. Pistos is a quality of something that's faithful or dependable. And they should not be confused. Sometimes there are places where faithful is translated in our English Bibles believing. Like a person's believing because they're being faithful by believing. That's kind of by context a little bit more so.
Paneras, paneran. Evil, the evil that spreads, malignant.
Mhm.
So it's lacking character and it wants to spread.
You hang out with the teacher.
Okay. It's actually the base of the word paneros is the word pan that we, interestingly enough, get the word pain from, because the word originally meant to cause pain or to have pain or cause pain eventually.
Okay. Protos. Prote, proton. First. Like
So-
prototype.
Exactly.
I
Okay.
think so many other words come from these words.
Mhm.
And then we have all this other vocabulary.
And by the way, if you go back up there to halos, we do get an English word from that.
Holos or
Hologram?
holos?
No. Whole.
Oh.
Well, she,
Yeah.
Oh,
WHOLE. Did you say that?
no.
I thought you said it sounds like.
I did say that.
But it's
Right.
translated. It says whole. Whole is the translation of the word.
That's not the word we get.
We get the word whole from that.
Right. When he said holos, I thought I went back up to alos.
Oh, okay.
That's where I got
Okay.
confused. But yes.
So the whole thing.
Okay, it's WHOLE.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound.
I don't know how to say it. How do you say a WH? To me, they all sound the same. Whole and
The
whole.
way you spell it. That's
Okay.
right.
Okay. And I don't have this vocabulary. I should add this before I put it up there. Okay, first one there, I don't know. Peggy.
Allah. But, now is this the stronger, make a big distinction?
Normally a stronger but than dad. Yeah, a stronger contrast.
But apocalypsis. Aos. A. So I don't know what those Aos A things are in there.
The A is the A is the article.
Article.
The eos is the genitive form, and the reason for that is this is a third declension noun. So, which we don't know yet, but they're giving you this word so that they can have you do some sentences down
Wait,
below.
So the genitive form of apocalypsis is Eos.
Yes.
Seos.
So it's
Apocalypseos.
nothing close.
No, and
No,
we'll
the
get that when we
word.
get to. Don't worry about it.
Holy moly.
No. That's the
Oh.
ending. That's
See,
the
they don't have
genitive
the-
ending. I didn't understand.
Okay, so where does it go then?
It would take you to have apocalypseos. So it replaces the iota sigma at the end. And they do that with third declension nouns. They give you the nominative form in the dictionary, and then they give you the genitive ending so that you know what it is. They don't have to do that with the rest. They don't have to do that with the rest of nouns, first and second declension, but third declension they do because they're a little different.
And are there not locative indicative data?
There is, but this just helps you understand what ends up happening is the genitive form that's what you work off of then for the remainder of the declension
Okay.
rather than off of the nominative. So that's why they always list the nominative form or the genitive form, excuse me.
Hey, apocalypsis. All right, revelation. Unveiling, revelation.
Yes, because calypsis is a veil. Calypto is to cover, to veil something. And so apo, away, veil away means you take the veil away. You unveil a thing.
All right.
Dead. But.
And that's the milder one. And there's going to be places where I almost always translate it, but most modern translators say it's almost just kind of in the Greek. It's just what you put in there to start the next sentence. And so sometimes they say they don't even translate it.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, you're not always going to see it translated plainly.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I feel like I need to understand that because in English, if we say but, there's a reason for it.
Yeah, and it's not always but, because it's but, it's now, it's then. There's quite a variety of usages for the way da kind of transitions from this statement into the next stage.
Transition word.
Right, yes. It's a conjunction.
Right.
It's a conjunction. It's just not as strong of a conjunction as Allah. And it occurs a lot. It'd be interesting to,
Yeah, I've seen it a lot. We're looking at
I want to pull this up here for a second. I just want to see how often death occurs in the New Testament. 2,478 times. I just wanted to see. So you can see how common of a word that is. Whereas, and let me check Allah just by contrast real quick. If you don't mind. Allah occurs 603 times. So it still occurs a lot, just not nearly as much. Okay, next word there.
Amy. I am.
Oh,
I mean.
oh, I don't, okay. I have to
You don't
add
have
that. I do not, that's a word they've added in here. Okay,
I mean.
and that's a verb.
To me, verb.
That's, yes. And it's the verb I am, exactly as she said. Okay.
I mean. I am.
You angelion. Ta?
No. Ta.
Oh, that's direct, or that's definite article, right?
Which
Right.
makes it a neuter.
Angelion. That's.
Is it a neuter
Mm-hmm.
second declension now?
Yes. And that's gospel or good news. Now, just to help you remember that word, it's a real common term in the New Testament, so it's not that hard. The EU is a prefix that means good, and then
Message.
good message, precisely. And it comes into English because they, rather than using the upsilon with a U sound in the diphthong that we have here, they translate it as V, and we have evangelon, evangel or evangelize, yeah, is a verb.
Theos, God.
Ook. Not.
Mhm.
Palayon. Oh, hey, look, that's another adjective. Old.
Old. And a good way to remember that is paleontology. You're studying old ages, old things.
Geez. Okay. Sue, you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Sasu soy sa. That would be the
cool.
anyway, that's the declension in the singular there for those. So.
Psalmas, hymn.
Okay.
And
we translated him, but a lot of times your English Bibles translate it psalm. Yeah.
So, what's the difference?
Well, there is a word hymnas, and there is a word psalm. The Hebrew word psalm meant to strike or to pluck like a string.
Mm-hmm.
And then it had it came to be used for singing a praise or a call to God. A psalm could even be, they have in the Old Testament, they have what the Jews called imprecatory psalms, or that's what we call them, meaning you're calling God to punish somebody and protect you. So you've got a variety of psalms where just praising God and calling God to do things, or calling out to God when you need help. So psalms kind of covered a wide range of your communication to God, but it always was, God, this is who you are, so this is what I'm doing. So that's kind of why it fell into the gamut of praise. Whereas a hymn is a Greek word. Psalm is a Greek word, but it comes from Hebrew. Hymn is a term that the Greeks used of something that you said only to God and only about God.
So that's this word.
In psalmos it would be the psalm of praise is what it is. Hymnas, which does occur like 3 times in the New Testament, I think. I think when Jesus and the disciples get done taking the Lordian table and they go out to the garden, it says they sang a hymn and they went out. And I believe it's hymnas, not this. And then Luke tells us that Paul and Silas were worshiping by hymnizing when they were in the jail. And then Paul uses this, I think, 2 times. So maybe it occurs 2 times. Once in Ephesians 5:19, where he's talking about the results of being filled by the Spirit, and again when he's talking about those same things over in Colossians 3. So I'm guessing 4 times that hymnas is used. And so hymnas would be closer to what we would call worship today, what we use worship, because we don't really have worship terminology outside of proseuchomai used in the epistles written to the church, which is really amazing. So hymnas kind of falls into that.
I really do think that's amazing. Interesting. By amazing, I mean interesting.
There's a difference.
Strange even.
There's a difference.
That there's not a lot of worship language in the New Testament.
I think they just did. I really think the point is the word that our English Bibles translate pray, proseuche and proseuchomai, really takes over that idea.
So you're not saying that the New Testament doesn't discuss worship. You're just saying there's not a word that's for worship that's common in the New Testament.
No. The reason for that is that the word that's used in the Gospels, and Paul uses it a couple times but never applies it to us, is the word is the word proskuneo. And proskuneo had the idea to bow down or to kiss before. And that comes right out of the Old Testament, because the Old Testament word for Hebrew, shekhes, always had this idea of to fall down and worship before an individual. So this is, the nature of this word is that it's very physical. Old Testament worship was physical worship. And Jesus changes that in John 4. He uses this word because they wouldn't have understood it if he would have used the other word. But in John 4, when he's talking about the Samaritan woman, he says, your worship is now going to be in spirit. It's not going to be physical. So David could stand before the ark when they bring it back into Jerusalem, and he could dance before God. And that was acceptable. And we can dance before God if we want to also, but that's not worship. That's something different from what God's talking about us. We worship in spirit, and we worship in truth, which means we're not just going through the motions. It needs to be. So if you're really doing it in spirit, then this should also be true with it. Whereas in the Old Testament, you could dance before God, you could bring offerings, you could fall down, you could go through all the motions, and none of it's genuine. Whereas with us, if you're really worshiping in spirit, so you could stand up in front of church and you could sing a great song and you could really get into the song, and none of it is being done in spirit or in truth.
Right.
Potentially.
Right.
So anyway, so what ends up happening is then we end up having then he ends up taking the word proseuchomai, which was a term that they only used for communication to gods, kind of like Hymnas, and they take this term, and now this sort of covers a little bit of the concept of worship as we move through the New Testament. And this occurs, I think, and I'm trying to say, like twice as often as all the other communication terms in the epistles combined. Because I don't think that the disciples and the writers, Paul and John, I don't think any of those guys ever conceived of the idea of talking to God, saying, God, I've got a flat tire, or my kid's sick, and help me get better, without talking to God like this. So this word may sometimes involve some of the asking thing, but it always had the idea of worship involved in it. And so they just never thought of talking to God, asking for something without doing this. Not that you had to do that, not that God needs to be buttered up first. It's just for them, how do you ask God for something without rightly thinking about God first in their mind? So this is the key term, and we miss it because our Bibles translate it pray. Of course, they also sometimes translate, at least the King James did, they translate a lot of the other words pray too. So sometimes you get pray for a whole bunch of words, and you're like, you think you're looking at the same word, but you're looking sometimes at 5 different words. So anyway, so there.
Sorry, arbitrarily.
That's all right. It's all right. Okay, so let's talk about the nature of adjectives. So we all understand what an adjective is. It modifies and sometimes functions like nouns. It actually can do both of these things. They have gender, they have number, and they have case, just like the nouns do. And we all understand when they modify a noun, it has to agree with the noun in terms of its case, its gender, and its number. If those things do not agree, then you need to look at it carefully and say, okay, am I getting the noun or the adjective wrong here in terms of the way I'm understanding, or is it modifying something else, or is the adjective functioning as a noun, which we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So I gave several examples here, which I thought I put up. Let me erase that. I was just trying to give some examples, and let me see if this one has these. I think this might actually have some of these examples in it. Okay. The book doesn't have all these examples that I gave. So anyway, in this case, if we have Agathos, Anthropos, because this tells you, let's go pause, because this tells you that this is a, what case?
Oh,
Case.
case.
Nominative.
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 Sorry. Oh, Lord. And it's masculine.
Masculine,
Second declension.
second
Second
declension, and it's
Sing.
singular,
Oh,
okay.
that's
This
the word I was
ending,
looking for.
this ending then matches this to tell you that it also is second declension.
Masculine.
What's going on? Okay. I thought maybe it was like really big news, baby was coming or something.
Oh, we'd be going.
Yeah, you'd be screaming.
Yeah.
to
It's
us.
time to go now.
People watching this online are going, what in the world's
is
going on?
happening
We're
here?
waiting for a granddaughter to be born. Okay.
Grandson.
Grandson, that's right,
Come on.
grandson.
A daughter to have a grandchild.
Here we go. Okay. But then the next one that I have here is we have ton. This comes out of, this is one we were looking at last night. This comes out of not Matthew, but Romans 13. Heteron,
Man, words, okay.
Naamon,
Wait, Naaman.
is.
Command.
That's a long time
you're
ago.
close. You're law. Okay, so this is law.
What's the command one?
Intellect, which is
Okay.
first
I know
declension.
it's okay.
So,
Yeah, okay.
so that's telling you what case is this? Accusative case.
Sorry,
It's okay. I just.
Which number?
singular.
Singular.
Singular. Which gender?
New. No. That's masculine.
Yeah.
Masculine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Because it's
Different law.
okay. So it's a different law. So there's something, and in Romans 13, that's the whole point.
Okay, so hold on, sorry. Heteron is another of a different kind. So would you read that a different law, the different law, or would you read it the other law that's different, that's of a different kind?
Yeah, I would say, I would translate it for clarity, and I know our English Bibles, but I would translate it the different law, because that's exactly what he's doing. Is he's saying, if you are fulfilling Christ's command to love one another, by doing that, you're fulfilling that different law, and that different law is twofold. It could be Roman law, which is the point of Romans 13. It could be Mosaic law, because he's illustrating the nature of love by referring to some commands from the Mosaic law. And yet we're not setting out, our goal is not to keep Roman law, and our goal is to keep Mosaic law. If you love, you are going to do this, and you are going to do this. In other words, you're not going to go out there and just violate Roman law just because you don't like it. And same thing with the Mosaic law. It's not that you're trying to fulfill it, but you're not, at the same time, you're not breaking. You're not breaking the commands that are significant in that way, because obviously the Sabbath is not an issue. But if you get to the next chapter in Romans 14, interesting enough, Paul's going to suggest the mature believer, actually, if he loves his brother, he's going to be kind with that brother that struggles with the Sabbath issue, rather than flaunting it with him and says, oh, grow up, there is no Sabbath anymore. He's not going to do that to him. He's going to let God bring that guy along in his own time. So I really think he's looking here at something that's different, and I think that that's really, if we don't see that, we kind of miss Paul's point there and what the illustration about love in Romans 13. Okay, the next one I had. Okay. Okay. Oh, that's right. See, all of the ones I was trying to pick, I was picking out of scripture passages. So these are all from scripture passages. I was trying not to pick any. I was not trying to make just any up here. Okay. Okay. Does anybody?
That's a word we don't.
This is one of the ones we just learned. It's one of our brand new vocabulary.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not whole.
Whole, okay, whole,
Oh.
exactly.
Because we're getting ready to talk about a feminine noun. Okay, good job, Peg. Pole, te, ecclesia. Ooh. Okay, so that is lid case.
Which this probably should be too big.
Well, if it can be whole or all, I feel like I need context to be able to tell you
Ecclesia.
what that says, but it does
The
say
church,
church,
the whole
the
church.
whole church and nothing but the church.
Yeah, that's what we'd be talking about, is the whole church. And this is out of Acts chapter, this is out of Acts 15, Acts 15:22. And so he's talking about a whole group coming together in the process of a decision, is what he's referring to there. And let me look at something, because I just thought of something in terms of our rules that we have here that I want to go back and
Wait.
Okay, let's move this up. Okay, so yeah, we'll wait on this one here. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of read down here. This is Acts 15:22, and when I get these up online, then you can see this. But it says, then it seemed it wasn't an opinion for the apostles and the elders with, there's a preposition soon out here, with the whole church to choose men, and it's talking about men that they were going to send along with this matter. So this was a decision. And by the way, that this is actually one of the good passages that helps us realize that when decisions are made in churches, those decisions are not made entirely by a board. The whole church needs to participate in some of the decision making. Not all, they don't have to do all the decision making, but the whole church should be included in. And this was one where all of them shared together in the opinion of what was decided. And that's actually a very important idea. Okay, the next one that I have up here is, okay.
That's a predicate. The first one, hey, te eccles.
This one,
That is a predicative.
it normally would seem to be. It's just an unusual situation. I'm just demonstrating agreement right now. Sorry about that.
Just take the book and throw it out.
Rules don't apply. Oh.
Okay, so what do we have here?
Apostolos.
Oh, no,
Apostolos.
there we go. I just forgot the iota in there. Sorry.
Agios apostolos. Okay, is this a attributive?
Mhm.
And it's the holy apostle.
The holy
Apostles.
apostles, okay.
Apostles.
And it's
It's LID, lid case.
lid case, yeah.
It's Now,
And
is this,
and
how
it-
come this is masculine, plural?
Right. And this is
Declension.
out of Ephesians 3:5, where and I can't remember in Ephesians 3:5 whether this is a dative or I should have marked these out for myself here.
Richard, don't tell us.
But
See if we can figure this out.
Let's see if we can figure this out with our
Brains.
incredible knowledge of the Greek language.
So Ephesians what?
3:5,
Oh,
Ephesians 3:5.
say anything.
Let me pull up. I'm going to pull up Ephesians 3:5 here.
Locative would be location, instrumental by means of the apostles, dative.
So let's, from the beginning of this, it says, which in heteres, and then we have
Generations.
generations, which in different generations,
Ook, not.
not.
Good job.
Can you figure out what the base of that verb is?
What verb?
Right after not. Can you figure out
That's
what
a verb.
it's a verb. See if we can just figure out what the base of it is. Just figure out the base root, the stem. You know,
No.
ignore the first vowel and see if you can kind of piece.
Oh, no, knowing.
It's no.
It's no.
Okay, so it was not known or not known.
Oh,
Then we have
Yes.
why?
Genos. It's Genoris, son, that we have, so that's experiential knowledge, no.
no, and then you had tois, huios.
The son.
And-
Toys, huios.
Yeah.
The sons, to the sons.
Okay, it was not made known because we have a passive verb before it was not made known to the sons.
Tone.
Anthropone of men,
Okay, then we-
That's-
the sons of the men.
sons of,
it's just-
That's plural. Genitive.
okay. Then host, which you don't know, is an adverb as, and then we have a time adverb, noon, now, which as it is now. We
no.
learned the noun form of this word, apocalypse,
Oh,
is as it has been revealed, and then as it has been revealed.
Yes.
So we had was not made known to the sons of men as it has now been revealed. And it could be by or it could be to. It could be like to the sons,
Because to the sons would be a dative.
a dative.
By the son, by the.
So this one could be
instrumental.
now is, or it could be has been revealed to the holy apostles,
That would be dative, and
datives,
then by would be
instrumental. And I'm going to go with dative here.
Really?
It's been revealed to the holy his,
Okay.
and then we have out to, and then we have kai is
And
prophetais,
prophets.
prophets, which also is lid, and it
Wait.
has. Is it singular or plural?
Oh.
And it's what declension? Second or first declension, yes. What gender?
Masculine.
So it shares a definite article. It shares a definite article with apostles. That choice out there is putting apostles and prophets together.
So the apostles and also.
Oh.
The prophet.
prophet.
Yeah.
Whoa, cool.
And then we have the preposition in, which is in or by. I'm going to translate it by. Here's where I think it's instrumental. By, and pneumati is spirit. Yeah, by the Spirit. Yeah. So in this case, I'm going to say it's dative. It's to the holy apostles. Okay.
Is that the A one, the
Hagios,
no, the adjective.
the adjective.
Is it what?
The A, it starts with an A. Say it.
Oh,
Hagios.
No,
No.
attributive.
Oh, it's attributive, yes,
Yes, okay.
yes. And if we were to put all this together, there's a good chance that this adjective also goes with prophetis at the end. Now, how can this ending, we're going to actually look at one in the next case. How can,
Even, Kai.
how can this ending match this? This is something we're just going to cover right here in the lesson now.
Because something about those, it's masculine.
Right, so one is a first declension noun and the other is a second declension noun.
But they're both masculine.
But they're
But
both masculine.
masculine.
So this takes, so remember, this takes a masculine article, and it also will take its adjective in the masculine case. So this is another thing that not only can you determine the gender by the definite article, if there's an adjective that's modifying it, you also can help determine the gender by the adjective, because the adjective is going to reflect the fact that it's a second, or that it's a masculine, not that it's second declension.
Because you don't do it by declensions.
You do it by gender, yes.
You don't do it by declension, you do it by gender. Nominative. But somewhere.
Okay.
Masculine and neuter adjectives follow the endings of the second declension, whereas feminine adjectives follow those of the first declension.
Which is the same for the definite articles.
Yes.
But
Okay.
adjectives can.
So let's see if you can figure this one out here.
I don't know what I'm trying to say. My brain just exploded. It's looking at
Well, shoot. I'm not sure what that says.
Is that a double lambda?
It is.
Oh.
Okay. My pen.
Use your finger.
There we go. My pen kind of bumped there.
I
So.
know. I don't know what we're
Adjectives
doing.
don't give a blooming about, you only have to worry about the epsilon, iota.
Okay. This is what I want you to do. What ending should be here? This.
I don't know what that word is.
Oh, this is an adjective, many. This is the adjective many. Palas, many.
Many
Okay.
prophetai.
Okay.
So that's
Feminine.
plural.
Masculine.
Masculine.
It's masculine.
You asked me.
Nominative,
It's
plural.
nominative plural. Yes.
So it's
So-
going to be, oi.
Very good. Very good.
All
Because that's what the masculine plural is. So when you see that, you're seeing many
Prophets.
prophets. Many prophets. And I thought I took that one out of a passage of scripture, but I don't have the scripture written down. Okay. So with that, what time is it here? We started a little bit late. Let's walk through our charts then on the first declension adjectives.
All right.
None of this is really particularly new stuff to us, because it really, you're just looking at your first and second declension, and you're looking at the three genders here with each one of those. So if you look under masculine there, under agathos, then you're going to see it's just going to be as. The endings are going to be as, u, o, on, and e. So a, ace, a, ain, a for the feminine, on, u, o, on. So really what we're demonstrating then with these, with all of those, is that it's going to follow the regular form. But if we go down to the next chart for dikaios, the root for dikaios ends in what? What's the stem end in?
Iota.
Iota. So that's not going to change it in the masculine or neuter, But when you get over into the feminine, when you have a stem that ends in iota,
Well, that's
Yeah.
okay.
yeah,
It's the same.
it's going to be the same, precisely.
These are so much easier.
Any other stem ending in the feminine singular will have.
What are you saying?
So when the stem, the adjective ends in epsilon, iota, or rho, the feminine singular ending will be long a, but that's that.
Same
We
rule.
don't, yeah.
So
Any other stem ending, the feminine singular will have the a,
The eta,
the eta.
which is what we had under agathos. So in the agathos chart, in our chart on agathos, that's exactly the way it goes in the feminine.
Singular.
Yeah, because remember in
Oh, right there. Okay, no.
Because
Yes, I mean,
remember
sorry.
your feminine plurals,
Yep.
first declension do not change. Okay.
So, I'm not seeing a chart that says anything about when the stem ends in sigma.
It doesn't.
and,
It doesn't.
That's-
It's only affected when you have epsilon, iota, or rho. It's the
Okay.
only
So-
thing that
so
causes
if it ends in those, you're gonna be doing the
AAC.
A.
right. You don't have the flipping back and forth of forms in the middle. So, okay. Is that too much, or do you want to stop there, or do you want to just kind of go on to the three? Because we can come back and review this next week, but I think it might be a good idea to kind of introduce really how then the adjective functions. We talked about the fact that the adjective always agrees with the case, gender, and number. But now we're going to come to the fact that when you have this, we can have, so they give us here, we have agathos, logos. Or you can write this and that's saying the same thing. When you translate, you're going to translate it the same. If you're a real letteralist, you're going to say the word, the good one. Or you can simply translate it, the good word. Because the word, the good one, is kind of awkward English.
For sure.
Okay. But this is what we call the attributive. This is what we think of in English when we think of an adjective. Okay. This is what we think of in English.
Attributive means they're equal.
No,
math?
no, attributive simply means
Okay, you're attributing
that you're
something.
attributing this quality to this.
That. Okay,
You're saying the word is good. You're stating
Okay,
it.
math.
You're stating an attribute. Are you thinking distributive?
So I should not be thinking math because.
Yeah,
it's
don't be
thinking
thinking
that.
Because
math.
we're
Okay.
doing English
Yes,
right
yes.
now. In fact, we're doing Greek.
If we had normally, if we have a setting where we would have logos, and then we have agathos, with it, without the definite article, this is what we call the predicative,
So you say it that way. Predicative.
which we're going to translate the word is. We don't even have an is in there, but you don't need one in this case. The word is good.
And the workbook tells you put the is in parentheses.
Yes,
It's not actually
or write it in,
there.
or if you're typing, you type it in italics, which is what a lot of your English translations do this. And you could rearrange these. You could have agathos up front. You could have agathos halagos. The word is good. That's the situation Peg was asking out over there in Acts 15, where you had the whole church.
Oh.
Okay.
So basically, usually if there's a definite article in front of the adjective, it's gonna be attributive.
Right.
If there isn't, it's gonna be predicative.
Right. Now we have one last situation with adjectives that is actually quite common in Greek. We do it in English too. And that is where where it's actually what we call substantive. If you study Greek from scholars, they don't refer to them as nouns. They refer to them as substantives is the word that they use.
What?
It's-
Say that again?
They don't
All
refer to
nouns?
nouns as nouns usually. They refer to them as substantives because substantives is broader. It includes nouns, but it includes a lot of other things. A lot of
Okay.
things that kind of fall broadly under the category of a noun. So we could simply have ha agathos by itself. And if you had context, now by itself, this doesn't really help you. You're simply saying the good, and we have to supply one because we don't know what it's referring to.
The good masculine noun.
Right. But if in the context, it said, I should have looked this one up because I think we might have had an example of this where Jesus is talking about the evil man, the good man brings out of his treasure good things, and the evil man. I'll try to look this one up here a little bit. But we'd say if we had ha, kakos, anthropos, and then we make some statement about him. The evil man does this.
Well,
And then we'd have then Allah, okay, but, so the evil man does whatever it might be.
that's a substantive.
No, no, this is attributive here,
Because there's I'm sorry.
because there's a definite
There's a definite
article
article in front
before
of
this.
Adjective.
Yeah. But now we come down here, but the good what? Well, you're contrasting this. So good is standing in for man. So the context tells you that in this case, we would, for clarity in English, we would add the word man in parentheses. And that it is actually quite common in Greek for a adjective to stand in for something in the context that the author knows you're talking about. You're not going to go, why does he have that word? What is he referring to? Well, if you look in the context, you can see what it is. And so that's the substantive form. So it's just using the adjective as a replacement for a noun.
And then you can even actually use the article alone.
And the article sometimes, the article, you're at places where the article will occur all by itself.
Oh my goodness.
And it'll just be the one. Yeah, it'll just refer to the
Equates.
What?
That's okay.
Yeah. I wasn't going to. Yeah, because you could have a if you had the hay, it could be she or the feminine one, whatever the thing is, and so on and so forth is what you're referring to. Okay, so we have 3 ways that the adjective can be used. He said you need to.
Adverbial.
Sometimes the accusative singular.
We're not going to talk about that right now. We've covered enough for the present time. So
Kai, hoi, necroi, and the Christo first.
yeah.
Honest. De Suntai.
And so first, protos. And so we will come back and we'll talk about that. So the 3 key adjectival things I want you to remember that we have in here is the yes.
What do you want to do? What do you want to do right now?
What are the
Look
3
at
key
3.
ways that the adjective is used in Greek?
Oh geez.
Attributive, predicative, substantive. Is that how you say it?
Substantive.
Substantive.
Okay.
So attributive, there better be a definite article in front of that adjective.
Ah, yes.
Predicative, no.
You don't have definite article in front of it. Yes.
Substantive,
There's no noun.
There's no noun.
there's no noun there.
There's just the adjective.
Okay, just the adjective. Okay. Okay, gotcha.
So we'll come back. We'll kind of review this next time. I don't think the adjectives are that hard, other than just trying to learn how you're going to translate it in terms of these three primary ways that the adjectives use.
Just remembering the endings, that there's no sigma double lambda, the three doubles that have their own set of
Right,
endings.
right.
They just use the, what do they use?
What do they use?
They use the
The
A,
eta. Okay.
the eta, okay.
So I think we're going to come back. We will review this stuff on Tuesday,
Third.
and then we will.
Yes, today's Thursday.
And then we'll move into the book. And I'm prepping you for this. This is a class. So what I'm planning on trying to do is probably not, well, you may get off because there may be a baby, we may be gone. But I'm planning hopefully in a week or so, a little over a week. I want to do this week that I think we're going to have a test. We'll give you a test and we'll let you take it in class, try to work on the material, and we'll correct it in class. So
Is it going to be open book?
Yes.
will it be open book?
You should say no.
No.
I think
No.
I think you should work on the stuff that you have so that you can try to do it without. Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
but not next week, right?
No, we're gonna. I want to because it's gonna take us. We're gonna review, and it's gonna probably take us a week to get through the exercises and workbook.
So the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's just
Yes,
me.
but that's why there's
That's me.
But that's well. See, then it'll give you a few days to recover because there's Thanksgiving and there won't be Greek class on Thanksgiving Day, and
To recover.
To be thankful.
so we will work on that. There will be a lot of vocabulary out of both the workbook and out of the textbook in there, and then we'll talk about bring up some of the. There'll be translation work is the key thing. I'm gonna have you give me the declension forms and the conjugations for the verbs. So don't forget all those that you've learned.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
All right,
There we go.
I'll do it.
We'll end our class.